Smash that.
Ripping driver, going for it. Oh my goodness. How about that tee shot?
That is crazy how far that is.
Wow. John Daly, take a back seat, big fella. How about that drive?
That's an aggressive line. That is beyond long.
Look at this, he's just driven the green. He has just driven the green.
I guess hello world, huh?
Welcome everybody to week 17 of the 2020-21 PGA season, the Waste Management Phoenix Open, one of the more popular, fun tour stops, not only for the players but the fans. Was out there last year with Tambo, had a great time. It was my first time to go. Really enjoyed it. Bits and pieces. It's crazy in a general year. I mean, I don't remember how many hundreds of thousands of people were there. Day in and day out, and especially on the weekend. Saturday and Sunday we were able to be up on the suite on the par 3, so that was pretty awesome. But getting through that place can be a little bit of a nightmare. Bucket list still. Certainly, you know, the suites are nice because it's not once you get up there, it's not as crowded. But in general, I like going and walking around the course more than you want to there, because it's just so crazy. I would think, you know, going on like a practice round, and maybe so the locals, quote unquote, out there, they'll go a practice round maybe Thursday, then they'll play like golf or whatever Friday, Saturday, and then maybe they come back Sunday if they have a suite or something. But most of them, it's just gotten too crazy. This year, won't have to worry about that. There are fans, but I think I heard 5,000 a day. Literally there was like 20-something thousand just for that par 3 to run up to that deal. So, you know, much less people, so it'd be kind of interesting to see how it comes off, you know, in total, and then how the players, kind of their reaction to it, and to see if some players are playing this week because of not having that. You know, some players don't like that kind of stuff. I don't know if Rory falls in that category, but he was one that I wondered, is he playing this year because of that, or there is the rule you have to play every, you know, stop in a rotation of every, I think, 4 years, and maybe he just had already planned that. But stuff like that kind of interests you a little bit, but it's all anecdotal. We will wrap up last week real quick first, and then hop into the Waste Management. Yeah, worst week of the season for me. Showdown saved me again. Took 5th in the 444 on Sunday. Had pretty good sweat in I think it was a $15 on Sunday as well. Made about 4,000 net on Sunday, so saved the week. Definitely profitable on the week, but not main slate. When you go Wolf, Brooks, Scheffler, Bubba as a pretty good, they weren't core. Scheffler and Bubba wasn't necessarily a core, but they were in my lineups. You know, just dead by the time Friday night gets there. Well, Thursday night was pretty much dead with Wolf. Wolf was in my main bullet of the week. I think it was my first bullet this year, like in the GC Cup and stuff, that didn't finish inside like the top 20. What sucks is I was so close to putting Reed in there. I had Reed in my 3 max. Reed was in there, but I didn't put him in the bullet. Almost went Reed over Brooks, which obviously would have been much better for me long term, but you know, it kind of is what it is. Scheffler, but you know, he's going to be one I talk about a little bit today. I'm interested to see. He's an industry guy. I want to see how people go with him. There's several of those today. Kind of the key word of this pod, I think, is going to be optics. Thought about this a lot last night and this morning at the gym. And I have some thoughts, obviously, on the Reed stuff, and then in general, some game theory stuff that I think not only applies this week, but I think it's getting more and more relevant to our game we play, which is, you know, DFS golf. I think I always remind the members, you know, don't forget the game we're playing. There is a game there. So the anecdotal stuff, or this guy and all that kind of stuff, you know, sometimes you have to make moves or decisions because of the game you're playing. You know, Brooks this week, 8,800. Where's everybody going to go with him? Are they done with him? 2 missed cuts. He's won here before. Hasn't played since 2017. pretty good on Bermuda. You know, what's the thought process there? Everybody bet them and just move off. You know, that's some of the stuff you gotta take into consideration. Had a ton of Reed. Reed was actually my highest owned guy, so to not do well was frustrating because the building pieces weren't there. I had a lot of Palmer. Willie Z was one of my top 5 on. I told last week I said I'm on him. I feel like I want us to be on him heavy because he's going to hit another top 10. Right, the dude just gets there. Real interested to see where we get this week at 9,000. You know, back to optics. 3 straight first round leaders now. I had the Palmer first round leader on the, I think, South course. Maybe it was North course. Can't remember. Chopped it. I think it was South course. Yeah, South course. Chopped it. So made a little profit there. 7, 2, and 2 on the bets for the week. More profit there. So a solid week. Kind of get college football out of the way. We're starting to make some profit. Finished January up, I think, 16 units or so for the documented bets. Monkey Knife Fight was not as good. I didn't, Thursday night they weren't, bringing in the consideration of the different courses. So it looked like there was some nice, potential leverage, and there still was. They just didn't come through. So that sometimes the leverage can be there, but they still don't come through. And Kenny and I talked about that last Wednesday on E9. Like you can make the right pivots. Like I had 0 Scheffler 2 weeks ago, but the pivots I made didn't get there as well. So I was off Scheffler, but it didn't matter. Saying, that can be said any given week. Like if you pivot, but don't pivot to the an optimal or a high person that does well, then the pivot doesn't matter a whole lot. But I'll take 7, 2, and 2 on the betting. Monkey Knife Fight. I think I was down some, but I can't remember. I know Sunday I did not. I think maybe Sunday I did win. Saturday I won. Sunday we lost the one. We'll have some. I actually have a kind of props. I sent out my Super Bowl prop sheet, my first version. I kind of add to it throughout the week. I'll be doing a pod on that as well, probably this morning. I got a few DMs if I've switched Smash Factor to Tuesdays now. No, not necessarily. This is more having to do with the new website. Mondays have kind of taken, putting full focus on some of the website stuff that's coming soon. I mentioned that to you guys. I'm not quite confident 100% to give you the release date, but I will tell you it's way ahead of our schedule, and would be shocked if next week I can't. Actually, I will be able to announce next week when we release the new site. I think with the testing we do this week, I'll feel more comfortable. But it's gonna be awesome. Really looking forward to you guys seeing that, and then that's just the beginning. Like it's gonna look nice when you guys get in there. Some new features, but the building block and the way we did it is the ceiling is gonna be the sky because it's all in house. Like we built it from scratch up. Like we didn't buy a package in a box type deal. We were on WordPress, which is a good starter platform. It kind of does a lot of the automation for you, but it also limits you in a type of environment we want to build in. So building this from scratch allows, I mentioned this before on other stuff, allows us to take y'all's feedback and, we're in-house coding it and building it. So I'd be like, oh, we want to do this. How do we do that? We don't have to work around that platform that they give us. So I think it's going to be awesome. I'm pretty excited for it. Over the next month is going to be really, really good as well. The Reed situation, I'm not going to go too much into it. I'm sure everybody's tired of it. You saw my stuff on it. I was more frustrated with the 8 to 10 minute, whatever it was, CBS monologue on it again Sunday. When I watched it, I was, everybody, right? He has a history of kind of like, what's going on here? Immediately, like social media world does, it was, he's guilty, acquisition, get him out of the game, disqualify him, blah, blah, blah. And then that night, it's like the senior director, the tournament director, they're all like, he did everything he was supposed to do. Like he didn't do anything wrong. And I'm like, all right, so I kind of go back to the Super Bowl, the Saints Rams. Like we all know that was a defensive pass interference. I played that game all the way up through college, so I had, I felt I could not just, on the couch Joe, but I didn't play golf at a very high level. I play good now. I'm actually almost a single digit handicap, for the first time. I'm getting better. I enjoy the game, but I didn't grow up with a club in my hand like my kids will, learning the game, the rules, and playing it for 20 years. And even if they did know the rules, their rules have changed so much since 2019 that it's an ongoing deal. And so first of all, I'm not going to snap judge at it, but in that Super Bowl, the NFL came out and kind of admitted to their mistake. So when these guys come out, not Reed, but the other guys say, hey, you didn't do anything wrong, I understand the optics look horrible. 100% agree. Did he cheat? I can't say that. I have no idea. Perception is he did, right? Does it matter? It's tough, man. I play with some very well-respected guys a lot. One of the nice things I like about golf, football taught me a lot, and it gave me my foundation, and I don't mind if my kids play it or don't play it, because it also gave me a lot of 20 years of beating up my body. But the integrity part of golf is huge, and I respect that part of the game. But only he can live with that or not live with that. So who are we to judge what he values as integrity or not? And then you had the Rory deal, right? Rory basically did the same deal, but didn't even call a guy over. We don't know. Rory may not have pushed his thumb down or the optics of it or whatever, but it didn't matter, because Rory is like, the rules now are, I can say, hey, this ball's embedded, pick it up, do what he did, put it down and hit it. No questions asked. Maybe because of Reed's pass, he felt like he had to go the extra mile and be like, man, this thing isn't, but I get it. It hopped, and everybody says you can, but I've heard some other guys say, even the you can have an embedded ball depending on how wet the ground is, where it goes. Again, that's all an integrity issue, and it's up to them at that point in time. Then they review it. So take Wolf back 2 weeks ago, reviewed it that night, came back Friday, gave him a stroke. If they thought Reed did something against the rules, it's very clear that PGA is setting a precedence. They will still come back at you and do something. They did it with Wolf. If they watched that video and felt he did something illegal or against the rules, they would have either gave him strokes or disqualified him if that was the ruling. I don't know, but I got to trust them. They're the governing bodies. Now, that's the rules. That's the game they're playing. Now, when we come to our perception and whatever, it is what it is. If you hate him because of that and you're angry or whatever, that's your opinion. I'm not going to get mad at it. I liked it. Whether he was right, wrong, or indifferent, the game, the rules, the governing rules said he did nothing wrong, so he got to keep playing. What was impressive was that he didn't let it bother him. I don't want to say he thrived off of it, but he came back, Sunday and played well, beat the field by 5, and I thought, man, that's pretty ballsy. There's not a lot of guys on the tour that are going to come out with all that and do well. I don't remember what JT shot after his kind of controversy, but I don't think he, came back strong, and he certainly didn't win. And ironically, Rory deal happened right after that, and there's no telling there either. Could have done the same thing, quote unquote. Rory says in these environments, so you got wet conditions, you do have a lot more plugging, lift, clean, and place in the fairway, yada yada. It does happen. The unfortunate deal, or the hard deal with golf, is these guys at their spotlights have cameras on every single shot. Now, does that mean they have to be, it's unfortunate for them or poor them? No, not necessarily. I mean, they also probably make a lot of money, parents' fees, yada, yada, because they're the top guys in the world. But there's a lot of other guys that could be doing similar stuff, and you don't get to see all those shots. Is it fair, unfair? Who cares? Life ain't fair, right? But being that there was cameras and they reviewed it that night, or could have come back and said, hey, man, we looked at this and it looks like you took an improper blah, 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 blah. You're disqualified or whatever. Then that would have been the rules too. And have been like, whether we knew what he did or not, they DQ'd him or they gave him a penalty, and you got to live with it. Like, but for us, these, people on social media to get lose their minds over it for hours. I'm like, man, go work on your profession or your craft, or get better at something. Don't spend hours worrying about something you don't control. And if you're letting it affect whether a bet or a DFS deal, you're playing with money you shouldn't be playing with, because that's just part of life. I mean, shit, Wolf withdrawals Thursday night. Cost me on the week. It is what it is. Was he hurt? I don't know. He kind of started, he even made it a point to tell the guys walking with him, look at my hands, I got blisters. I don't know if that was setting it up so he could withdraw. I don't care. It is what it is. It's the risk we take in this game. And I thought it was a complete joke of the book that refunded the whole outrights. I don't get that. That was, that's idiotic in my opinion. He won the tournament. The rules were there that they could have DQ'd what they did, but neither here nor there. That's their decision too. It's their book. They want to make some people happy. They're going to get all that money back. They're not dumb. How you determine who would have won otherwise, no telling, because those guys are going to make different decisions coming down if Reed's not up there by 4 or 5. So at the end of the day, he won. It is what it is. I'm not saying I'm a Reed backer. I thought it was very telling of him to come out and win that tournament that way. If he came out and said, I cheated or whatever, am I going to support a cheater? No, but by the rules that we had and what was said, there was no cheating there by the governing body. So that's all we can go by. We can personally think what we want. I just liked his performance on Sunday. Put the episode behind. Like the rule, they'll handle that. It's just like any other sport. Like the rules will handle that. They'll do that. Yada yada. Especially nowadays with so many more cameras around and stuff like that. They've shown that they'll come back with video evidence. Back in the day, they wouldn't have done that with Wolf 2 weeks ago. Like once he said, I didn't make a move, didn't matter. I mean, they wouldn't have come back the next day and watched the video and said something. We remember several years ago, we had the police, the at-home guys calling in when guys would inadvertently or overtly, make an error. Man, that's just, I get it. This game's high integrity and in his history, obviously, is the reason why he was, scrutinized so much. I get that too, but he's got to live with that, not us. So if he did that and he put his thumb in there and made the indentation while he squatted down, he's got to live with that, not us. So I just, that's what it is. I'm not putting any much more into it other than that. And we go on to next week. As usual, 20% off with Smash 20 off any package right now and any gear item. So if you want to go to the merch store, get our new gray hats that are in there, plus the old combo packs, you may do that. If you're a current member or you're looking to join, like I said, now's the time. Next week I will announce our March to the Masters promo for this year. We had one back in November, but it starts yesterday, February 1st. So any new signups that if you want to go ahead and sign up or upgrade, you're going to be into the drawing starting back yesterday. The upgrades, I'll go back probably till like January 1st or whatever. But any new signups February 1st and on will be entered into our big giveaway. I'll have all the prizes and stuff we're going to do for that on next week's show. Finalize that probably the next day or two. I just couldn't get it all locked in, but I wanted to go ahead and tell you guys, go ahead. If you sign up now, you're in the giveaway. And it's gonna be nice. All of our giveaways have been super nice, per usual. Full details on that next week. Current members as well. If you're looking to add our tools package and upgrade, which includes the Green Machine, NFL, college football, PGA Research Centers, all those, now's the time. Email me, support@gupscorner.com for your special offer as a loyal current member. Listener League is up. Or I'm sorry, it will be up by the time I post this. I think the text just came in actually for it. They were running a little bit behind this week with all the stuff they got going on with the Super Bowl. So I apologize for the delay there. Same format. Let's get that full. We were 5 guys short last week. I know football's still around this week, so really going to have to push to get it full. And then next week, I think we'll be fine. Golf, that stuff will kind of be away, and we'll lock and load on golf. Last week's winner, Andy Martin, 5586. He has accepted the invite to the League of Champions season-long deal. 524.5 points. Really good score this week. Reed, X, Connors, Ortiz, Sabs, and Straka. Solid lineup. Straka came back with, I think I had him in Showdown Saturday. No, he was in one of my 6 of 6s, and going in to Saturday, I had 4 inside the top 12, and then I think Kokrak and Straka. And I don't remember what Kokrak shot, but it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. And then Straka shot like 7 over or something. It was crazy. But he did come back with a decent round Sunday to kind of save himself. And obviously probably help Andy Martin. Hopefully he had that in some other stuff. Sabs was a real nice call. I think the price last week maybe got some people off of him, but he played well. I jumped back on him Sunday in Showdown a little bit. You know, him and Palmer were guys I thought that people were going to jump off of on Showdown. I really think our community has a huge edge in Showdown right now, and it's only going to get better as we keep improving that process. Ortiz, playing so well right now. A lot was the putter going into Sunday, but still finished strong. I think he even making the turn. I looked up one time, him and Sungjae. I was like, it's kind of doing many different things. And I look back, I was like, where does Sungjae and Ortiz go? And I mean, Sungjae made the turn, and he was 9 under. I think at that point, Reed was still just 10 under because Reed had just started. And he went like bogey, bogey, double bogey, bogey or something, and he fell off quick. Ortiz, same. I think he made the turn at 9 under, and I think he finished like plus or minus 5, so several bogeys coming in, but still playing great coming in. I mean, he had the win in the fall, and got a good history this week, so he's another guy we'll keep an eye on. Tourney preview for this week. Obviously, we're at TPC Scottsdale. We finally get a normal one-course tournament, not quite a full field. It was 129 man in DK as of last night. They'll add, I don't remember how many Monday Qs we'll get in, 2 or 3 or so. It is T65 and ties, Tip Eagle Bermuda greens, par 71, about 7,300. Doesn't play that long though. 2015 had a revamp. So if you're looking at course history, you may look at kind of that year and on, or 2016 and on. You played a little harder since the revamp. Closing 3 holes are some of the best closing holes on the tour for excitement and risk reward type stuff. A lot of things can happen on Sunday. 9 times since 2010, this tournament's been a playoff or a 1-stroke win. Last year, of course, Tambo and I was there watching Webb beat Finau in the playoff. I did bet, and probably will again this year, the prop. Will this go into a playoff? It's not one you bet a lot, but this tournament certainly has a history to think it's going to be close one way or the other, and it's not crazy scoring. It's pretty much, other than Mickelson one year, it's pretty much been around 15, 16, 17 type numbers, 18, somewhere in there. I mean, literally 17, 17, 18, 17, 14, 15, 16, 15, 18, 16. So Mickelson shot minus 28 back in 2013. But so similar scoring to last week, a little bit of bump. It'll be a little bit better scoring. Just take Reed out, is only minus 9. But, your cut's going to be around even, maybe minus 1 with the T65. And I'm going to have the winning score around 16, 17 under. Weather's absolutely perfect, per usual here in Phoenix. No issues at all. Doesn't look like much wind at all. No rain. Should be great conditions as far as that goes. 24 guys new to the course since 2016. So, again, we've kind of talked about a lot of these guys are playing, similar style schedules. So you got over 100 and plus that have played this at least once in the last 4 years. So good course history data to take a look at. Where you put it in your weightings and stuff is up to you. But, I like that when you get a lot of guys that play the same tournament, kind of gives you, and also gives you a feel of what's the volatility of this course. Is it, if you play here well, you're always going to play here well? For the most part, it seems that way, but you'll have, JT had back-to-back miscuts, then, a 17, a third, and a third. Rahm's always finished great here. Shoffley's finished great here. Berger's had, a miscut, 3 top 11s and a 58. I mean, so a little bit of hit or miss, but there is some that typically just play this place good no matter what. Salary ranges, 10K, we got 5 guys this week. 9K, we got 7 guys. 8K, we got 10 guys. Excuse me. 7K, we got 32 guys. and 6K 75 guys. So not quite as much in that 6K range with a smaller field, which I kind of like. Kind of indifferent because there's a lot of those guys you just automatically would cut out anyways. But it kind of it seems like the pricing is a little softer this week, a little tight. I don't know if it's soft or tighter. And you know, you get a Rory here who hasn't been here, Rom, JT, Shoffley, Webb, who has a great history here, Matsu has a good history here. You know, it's hard to spread all those guys out. And you get like a Brooks, they don't price up, you know, deservedly so. He's not been playing super great. You know, so it really makes that pricing tighter, which in my world means more spread out ownership wise. There's a lot of options in certain areas that enough people will be moving around that I think it'll be similar to last week where we had a very bunched up ownership. No one really ran away with it. I think we had 4 or 5 guys right there around 20-21% in the big MME for the week. You know, so no 25-30% guys, and I just certainly don't see that this week. There's just too many options. So I kind of like those styles. I'm all about that. The Sweet 16, if you're new to the pod, first tier, 9K, then we go 8K, 7K, 6K. I give you 3 picks plus a bubble boy. That gets us our 16 picks. I do a fade of the week, a sleeper of the week, some gut feel plays, and then we bring you our monkey knife fight betting and one and done strategy segment, and we get out of here. You know, 9K and above, very interesting week. There's a lot of guys I won't even necessarily go into because they were just right there on the edge. A lot of options here. Could be a week where you want to say ownership will dictate, but I think it's going to be fairly tight. There may be 1 or 2 that slip through that everybody just kind of avoids or doesn't talk about. So it'll be interesting. I'm going to start out number 1 ranked this week. You know, right, wrong, or indifferent, have had a pretty good run here at Waste Management, especially betting wise. You know, we had, I think, 2018, was that the Woodland year? No, that was, okay, so yeah, we had the Woodland year, which was 2017, 2018. Had him pre-tourney, and he was still 28-1 after round 3. So you can get some good live odds, I think. Guys can come back. So he double hit that year. The next year we had Fowler, first round leader, and then we had the DJ Fowler parlay that paid 142-1. DJ winning Saudi, which he's over there again this week, and Fowler winning here, and they both won. So that was a big week for us. I think we had one more hit, but we've had some pretty good success on whether it be first round later tournament, but in general, going back to my DK history, done well here. So hopefully we keep that rolling again. I really like Shoffley this week, 11,000. It'd be interesting to see kind of, you know, he rates out really good in my putting splits, coming off a second, 17th, 10th, and 16th here in his last 3 years. Number 1 overall in my model, but he squeezed in between Rom and JT, and then you got Rory even below that. Man, I don't know. I was way off on Shoffley last week. I thought I was being high on him because no one was hardly talking about him too much. I had him, I think, around 13%, 14%. He wound up being one of the top 5 owned, 20%. So I'm not going to underrate that, but I certainly think Rom, JT, Rory all be in there. Like, it can't all be owned. So where do people go? Webb, great history here. Won last year. You know, great putter on Bermuda. He's number 2 in the field for me. Cheapest in this area. You know, are people going to try to double up Webb plus one of these guys and build? And that's some of the stuff we have to dive into over the next 24, 36 hours. But I'm going to go with Shoffley because I think Rom and JT will be more talked about, more owned. It's not saying I'm not going to be on those guys, especially MME. But I like where his game is. I've had Shoffley mini winners, you know, in the past. I can't get to him at 10-1. He may be in my kind of a doubles, or you know, maybe we get crazy and throw a triple in there with the Saudi plus a winner here, plus a winner of the Super Bowl type deal, something like that. Do some round robins for sure. But nothing I can't. You know, I wish I'd have went more on him last week. But you know, I think he'll be good here, and I certainly like him, and I hope he kind of. I don't say goes on the radar, but I think with Rahm and JT squeezing them, and plus Rory's 400 cheaper, we'll pull some ownership off there. Next up is Berger for me, 9,600. We haven't seen him since Sony, but over in Hawaii he went 10th and 7th. His history here is a 58th, a 7th, and 11th, a miscut, and a 9th. And when I say history, I always go back 5 years, so could be more there, but especially here since the revamp, I'm only paying attention to that. He's 13th in my putting splits. Hadn't seen him in a couple weeks, so maybe a little bit forgotten. I don't mind going to him. Maybe he's low owned, not talked about. I'll pay the 9,600. I think people, Matsu's typically pretty popular here, and so $200 cheaper. I don't mind the Berger pivot there. Sung Jae is my third option here. He's right below Berger in my standings. He's played here twice. He got a 7th and a 34th. He's top 20 in my putting splits, 15th in stats. Playing good. He's had, a little bit roller coaster where he always seems to have one bad round or one off round. Even Sunday, I mean, look like he was going to charge and win the dang thing or be up there, and then the back nine just got to him. I don't see as much trouble here. That back nine at Torrey is brutal, and if you get off just a hair, it's hard to recover. I don't see that here. 9,400. I don't mind that play, and I think I'll probably get somewhat low ownership. Didn't flash a little bit last week, but let's say he just shoots even on the back nine. He finishes T2, probably a little bit more talked about this week. Then he finished 32nd, kind of fell off the leaderboard. He's lost in the storyline. Maybe we get him at low ownership, and I don't mind taking advantage of that. My bubble boy was Rahm, and it was really just Rahm, JT, and Rory. Be interesting to see how people kind of overall take that. Where the industry talks about where people want to go. You're splitting hairs there. They're all great talents. JT has a great history here. Like I said, he went miscut, but then he's finished 17th, 3rd, and 3rd. He's had a little baggage on his mind. He even had a tweet last night mentioning it. I don't know how much that carries on. What if you hear some boos or whatever? It's not that many people here, so I don't anticipate much. And the average fan may not even caught up on the story. It didn't get as much build up as Reed did by any means, but Rahm 4 years improved every year, 16th, 11th, 10th, and 9th. Not great in putting here, but not horrible. He's 47th at 129, so he's good enough. We've seen his putter. I mean, he can get hot. He can win here. We know that. I lean Rahm, and the reason why he was a bubble boy is ownership. If the community or industry or everything we can kind of look at, Twitter and articles and clicks seem to push Rahm up the ladder, then maybe you pivot. But I don't see. I think people. Some will go to him because he's the highest price. That kind of could be a public deal, but some will want to save the money and go JT and Rory's just as good. I might as well save the money. So we'll see how that pans out, but that's why he's a bubble boy. 8K range, Bubba for me. Saw his little TikTok video. Looks to be in good spirits even though he missed the cut. Tremendous history here. 14th miscut, 40th, 4th, and 3rd. He's top 10 in my putting splits, 8th in my stat model overall. 8,500 seems cheap to me. And he is a guy that's on my radar as a bet as well. So I like Bubba a lot. Kind of fits that narrative of, we go back to Woodland when I hit him. I think he missed the cut or didn't play great at Farmers, and everybody kind of jumps off. That's kind of what we do, right? Back to optics type of deal. Just seeing him do that little video and his dance and kind of that energy tells you he's in a right state of mind. I like that. And 8,500 on a Bubba track, 33, 35, 38 to 1, different spots. I don't mind that. I'll go both ways there. I love them in DK, especially if people get burned. I got burned by them, but I don't mind going back. Next up is Henley, 8,200. Henley gets talked about a lot, so we'll see if that continues this week. Definitely a roller coaster finish here. Miscut 16th, miscut 15th, miscut. If we follow the pattern, he's going to make a top 15 this week, so that's one thing. 3 miscuts out of 5 years is not great, so maybe he does kind of go under, but the 8,200 I think accounts for some of that. Stat-wise, he's 25th. The good drives, I think I forgot to say this. So the stats I have in there, stroke gains, ball strike, good drives, opportunities inside 12 feet, par 5 DK scoring, birdie or better, and good approach is kind of what I'm focusing for the Monday rankings. Good drives, he's 100, so that worries me a little bit, but everything else he's pretty solid in. He's 9th, 7th, and 7th in 3 of the other stats, so you can see where the hit or miss goes. He missed a cut at Amex, didn't play last week. 11th at Sony though, so another guy that maybe kind of like Berger off the beaten path. Maybe didn't get talked about. 8,200, certainly a good price to take a chance there. Last is Brooks. Yeah, he's bit me 2 weeks in a row. When are you going to get off? But I'm like, well, the price is accounting for it, right? He's $200 cheaper than Willie Z, and I didn't even mention Willie Z because he just can't fit in there. There's so many people in the 9K. I'll have Willie Z. I don't think anybody will. Go back to optics. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Palmer's a guy like that. Last week, 2 or 3 different industry pods. I would hear words like Palmer's not a great golfer. He doesn't deserve this pricing. He's not this. And I'm like, man, this is where perception, reality, anecdotal, and in numbers or what you see with your eyes matters. What do you mean he's not a good golfer? He's top 24. Well, going into last week, he was 24th in the world, OWGR. And I think it's because we get so inundated with, well, that's what he used to be. But we talked about this a year ago. I said, man, I'm on Palm. Now you get that weight off your shoulder. Like, this is their job, and he was a journeyman and just grinding, and you get that win. It gives you freedom in this kind of industry. You still got to play good, but you get 2 years to do what you're doing, and man, has he ever taken advantage of it. Walked almost 18 with him at Honda on that round 4 when he went, when Mitchell hit that putt, super nice guy, Texas boy, North Texas boy. But I think some guys, especially if they've been in this industry a while, have a certain image of people. We all get into that at times, and it's one of the reasons I always do a blind rankings when I'm going through the process. Is I don't look at the player. I want to see who are these guys, and then I'll bring the names in and go, all right, didn't really think that, but it makes sense. Willie Z is one of them. He's 3rd in my stat model. Is he the real deal? I don't know. I told you I'm all in on him. 9K, I certainly can't see too many people wanting to pay that for him, but he finished 7th last week. So he rolls off of a how many ever week break, at least 4 or 5 weeks, and it goes 7th. I think he's one of the top 10 tee to green guys in the game right now. And so I'll take chances on him. I don't think I'm going to have to get way overweight. But the same deal with Brooks. Like 8,800, I'm like, okay, everything I see, he's had ups and downs in the last 2 weeks. We know he doesn't have Harmon no more. Is it worth the risk? Maybe it's better to just throw a bet on him and move off. But 8,800 for a guy who has won here, man, it's to me the risk reward there and the upside is definitely worth it, and especially if we're going to continue to get a 5%, 6% ownership factor on him, because I don't have to be that overweight. And he hasn't really played. I mean, he's played a couple of times after he won. He won in 15. He beat Matthew, Palmer, and Bubba, ironically, all the guys I just talked about. And he made the cut in both of them, moderate finishes, and hasn't been back since. So there's not a lot of trouble for him to get in here if he can just get it going. We've seen him somewhat get going on it. He's got a chance. So I like him at 8,800. And the big deal is I don't think he's going to be high owned again, even at that price. I think people will go elsewhere. My bubble boy was Siwoo. And really the only reason why is his history is no bueno here. 2 made cuts in the last 5 years, a 67th and a 62nd, and then miscut. Does have great form coming in, obviously. Missed a cut last week, but won 2 weeks ago at 25th at Sony. He's field average on Bermuda putting. He's 103rd in this field in my course fit ranking. So it's like, is there something I wonder, is this a time you jump on? Because maybe all the crowd and all that stuff is something he doesn't do. And that's anecdotal for me to say, but probably with his course history, he won't be really talked about or thought of much at 8,100. Certainly, that's why he's on the bubble for me, is a course history factor. But maybe this year's different with no crowd. I don't know if that's the reason, but he's certainly playing as good as he's been playing in his career. So, we talked about with Kenny on the E9. He's going to try to get as much money as he can before he gets shipped off, unless they do have the Olympics this year and he gets his chance. But I'll go back there, especially MME style. 7K range, start off with Connors. Just a guy I like in general. Watched him at Valero. Adon's boy. He kind of got me hooked on him. Monday queued in. I think Adon had him that week after he got posted on the 150, 201 or something like that. And he's gotten so much better. He was already a great ball striker, but I really think he's talked about what he's done in the fall, working on the putting. He knows it's his weakness. 37th last week, a 45th here last year. So at 7,900, he really seems underpriced to me. And I'll go back there with his ball striking ability, especially when I look at any course where Hideki's won back-to-back. I don't weigh putting a whole lot. I will have it, but I'm like, well, if Hideki can win here back-to-back, boy, anybody can win here, right? Anybody can get hot. These greens are typically pretty pure. I'll take some chances with Connor. Next is Chris Kirk. Not sure how much he gets talked about a lot this week, but 7,500, pretty good history. He missed the cut last year, but a 37th, a 34th, 11th, and a 50th. Last 2 tournaments, a 2nd and a 16th. Great form coming in, $7,500. Not much not to like there at that price. I'll have some Chris Kirk this week. Norlander was my last man out of my main pool last week, and boy, did that suck. But did we ever ride him hard in Showdown? Was my play of the day back-to-back Saturday and Sunday. He's just playing great. Striking the ball well. He lived in the sand on Sunday and still climbed the board to 2nd place finish, 12th at the Amex. He's a guy that I talked about, I think on E9 or with the community, that when you went and looked in at his missed cuts, even back in the fall, it was like borderline, like he's missing by 1 or he's right there. And you can see the pieces coming together. Obviously I didn't get there for the main pool, but he was my last man, literally my last man out. So it crushed me to see him do that. But we hopped on Showdown. He made us money. So not too mad at him. 7,500 again, I'll roll right back there. I like that he's at least played here. He only played once. He missed the cut. I'll go back and kind of see, but man, he's got to have some confidence coming in after that finish. Back-to-back, a 12th and a 2nd. He's 18th in putting splits of Bermuda for me. I like Norlander this week. Next is Burns. It'd be interesting to see where people go with him. Obviously, he's a great, Bermuda Burns, nickname type deal. Miscut here, 2 years in a row. Miscut at the Amex, but 18th last week. Stats, he's 16th for me. Can rely on the putter some, but 7,700 is not a horrible price. Even the 80-1 type numbers you're seeing out there is a pretty good betting price. He's a guy that can get hot. Finished strong Sunday, got the 18th finish. Ball striking, he's 2nd in the field for me. 15th in good drive, 16th in birdie or better, 15th in DK par 5 scoring. All things I like to see. I won't play a chalky Burns, and I could maybe fill that a little bit. We'll see. But I definitely like Burns this week. As long as he stays reasonable on the ownership side. 6,900 or less. First up, Redmond. A little homerism there probably, but played here last year, got a 34th. He's 45th in Bermuda putting. It's his best surface, obviously. A 70th at Amex. He missed the cut last week. I think this course lines up well for him. He's 17th in my stat model, and now we're getting him at a super discounted rate. I love a $6,600 dock because now I get the upside of a guy that's finished top 5 on tour. I think he can win. But all I need him to do is make the cut. It's not $8,300 dock. $6,600 dock. Come on, just ride that. Ride some birdies and make the cut. Cut's gonna be around even. I don't mind him at all. Good performance last year, which it boosts him just a little even more for me. I like Redmond this week a lot. HV3, shook off the rust, coming off the COVID. Didn't perform great by any means, but not a course he's done great at historically. I know for a fact he probably wouldn't have played last week if he would have got to play the Amex as scheduled, but had the COVID, had to sit out. So, needed to get as many starts, right? And so he plays, grinds it out, gets some rhythm going. We've talked in the past, he's a guy that does better after he's got at least a tournament or so in him. 6,700 for his, stats, the way that he looks in general. 22nd, 21st, 10th, 5th, 12th in 5 of the 6 stats. That's another cheap price. We were there the year we were there. I mean, was it last year or 2 years ago where he had like, I don't know what, 30-something pars in a row or something. So I'd also like HV3 when it's a tournament that he doesn't have to go crazy low to A, make the cut, and then B, have a chance on the weekend. So if he can just get him going. He's got decent history here. Had a 10th in 2019, 38th and a 68th, sandwiched between 2 missed cuts in 2016 and 2020. So he's 12th in my stat, 13th in my recent form, albeit, it goes back into the fall some, but I don't mind him at 6,700. Certainly have some shares there. Last is Hahn. in this range. Kind of gets talked up a little bit in the industry, but 6,800. None of these guys, I don't think, especially when you got the up top pricing and the way it'll be spread out, I don't think they'll be super chalky in the 6K. I think the 6K will be higher owned than typical because a lot of the stars are scrub type of builds, but I don't think anybody down here just can get super talked up. If anybody, it could be the two. I mean, at least Redmond, he tends to get popular at times, but he's kind of burned some people, so maybe not. But Han's got a great record here, 54th in putting for me. So I'm not taking a lot into it, but a 17th and 11th, a 67th and a 25th here with a missed cut in 2017. 4 to 5 cuts made at 6,800. I just needed to make a cut and have upside. 41st at Sony and 32nd at Amex before he missed a cut last week. Burned some people. Maybe people jump off of him. I don't mind going back to Han. My bubble boy in the 6K range is Glover. He's so hit or miss, and that's really why he was on the bubble for me at least. He's 26 in my total model. He's not done horrible here, but nothing great. A 43rd, a 36, and then he had a miscut in 2019. Bermuda is not something he's putted great on, so that's why I put him on the bubble. Stat-wise, though, he's 22nd overall for me. Nothing horrible either. Everything he's got 9th, 10th, 13th rankings, 26th on good approach. Par 5 could be a little bit better, but again, if you're dropping down here, you're looking for guys to make a cut and have some upside if they get hot. I don't mind Glover. Especially his history here. 2 out of 3 made cuts and done okay on the weekend. So nothing great, but a guy to keep our eye on. Fade of the week for me. Don't hear this much from me, but I'm gonna put an asterisk on it because I assume, which we know that what that gets, Matu will be popular as he typically has been. But he seemed off, and he seems off since we got him back. TLC finishes almost dead last. Has some good rounds at the Sony, gets a 19th. Last week, 53rd. He makes a cut, nothing great. But now he's 9,800. Stat-wise, he's 41st for me. Like, if you look at his trend line, he's not trending the right way we want him to coming in this tournament. Now, he's kind of the opposite of, what was it, Siwoo or someone with a horrible history here. His last 5 tournaments here, a first, a miscut, a 15th, a 16th. And the miscut was I think that was a withdrawal actually. But, if he somehow goes under the radar with all those top guys, would I play a Matsu? Yeah, especially MME. But I don't like the way he's trending. And 9,800, if he's going to be up there, 15% plus, I'll pivot elsewhere. I mentioned I go Burger over him all day long. So I'm assuming high ownership. He'll be my fade of the week. If we start sending, a lower owned Matsu, maybe address it tomorrow on E9. But as of now, he's going to be my fade of the week. I'll go elsewhere this week. My sleeper of the week, and I define this by guys I think will be 5% or less, is Scheffler. I think he's burned people now 2 weeks in a row. But he's still 5th in my stat model overall. So everything I want him to do well, he does well. And he has weird, like last week, he burned us, he missed the cut, but he shot 7 under on Thursday. Obviously, it was an easier course, and then +7 on the South course. And I think those rounds can happen out there, so I'm not putting a whole lot of weight there. He was similar at the Amex. I think he had a big round and a bad round type of deal. 9,100, I just don't see many people going back there. I said he's one of my early guys I have under 5%. And if I'm going to get that kind of guy under 5%, I don't mind going there this week. I think he's live. He's live to win it potentially, but you don't have to get that much overweight on him, especially in an MME setting. You can have 7-8% and you're fine. So Scheffler's my sleeper of the week. My gut feel plays. First one is Billy Ho. He's got a great documented history here with the fans and all that. Be interesting because he always plays well here. He's 7th in my putting splits. 5 straight years, 24, 24th, 43rd, 39th. Last year a 9th. Miscut last week, $8,400. I don't know if the less amount of fans is going to help him, hurt him, or what, but because he always interacts with them and says he doesn't like it. Not real sure, but he's a guy that I think can go do well, coming off a miscut, maybe less talked about, especially at that price. Good history here. So gut feel play number 1. Number 2 is Fowler. He's a guy like Matsu I'm interested to see in the industry. If everyone's like, this is weak. Made the cut, didn't do much with it though. So 2 straight made cuts, 21st, 53rd. His history here is, 4th overall for me, a 2nd, a 4th, 11th, a 1st, and a 37th. He loves Bermuda, putts well on it. So, 8,600, I don't think a lot of people will go there. I'll be surprised, but, I would like a low-owned Fowler and get him in some MME. My next up is John Huh for 7,200. Really good history here. A 6th, a 34th, a 38th, a 70th, a 40th. He's 14th in my putting splits, a 21st at the Amex, a made cut last week, 65th. Didn't do much with it, but certainly showing the upside. And with the history here, I think he's 50th in my ranking, so it's nothing to write home about. But I definitely don't mind him this week. And the last gut feel play is Keith Mitchell, $6,400. We know he's done well on Bermuda in general. A 73rd here and a 16th here. So, 2 made cuts, 1 top 20. 14th at the Sony. He did miss a cut last week. 30th in my stats overall. He's a hit or miss guy, but that's what you're paying for. $6,400. Certainly valuable for MME. I can't imagine him being more than 2 or 3% owned. Especially if you're going that big stars and scrubs this week. Putting a $6,400 guy that's got upside to top 20 like he did last week is certainly viable this week. Monkey Knife Fight mentioned sponsors our betting and one-and-done strategy. Make sure you go to gupscorner.com/affiliate, click the link, use the code GUPS. You get a 100% match up to $50 on your first deposit. I'll have plenty of golf. I do the full tournament plus daily. I will have some Monkey Knife Fight props for the Super Bowl, all posted on the site, so you can come check those out if you struggle to look around on there. A lot of people that get on there a lot of people got on last week, and I was like, man, it's kind of fun. It's different. It's betting mixed with fantasy. We don't, it's us against a book. So there are, I think we have a pretty good amount of followers that are doing it. So I try to, when I put my plays in, I try to post that super quick. Because they do move lines like a book will a betting line. So, if they get enough action in there on a certain play, if I release it at, 26.5 or something points on 2 guys and it gets hammered by 40 to 100 guys, it could go up to 28.5. And we saw that, last Thursday night. So, if you're on the site, I put those out around the same time as Showstoppers, so be on the lookout as that. The NFL ones I'll probably put up a little earlier. It's on my schedule to look at. I put out the prop sheet already for the betting props, but we'll do the Monkey Knife Fight as well. My 5 that pop and 2 long shots. So 5 that pop for me is Corey Connor, 66, Bubba, 33, Willie Z, 40, Henley, 66, and then I had a tie for 5, so I give you 2. Scheffler and Brooks are both 45. Shop around. There's a lot more availability these days in the legalized world of gambling, so you could get better odds there. All those pop to me. I'll have my outrights out today and my full card out tomorrow. Long shots, HP3, 200 to 1. So long shots are more top 20, top 10 type bets. 200 to 1 top 20 bet pays out well, so HP3 on that's good. Now I kind of had a tie on the other one as well. Redmond and Norlander. Redmond's 175 to 1 and Norlander's 100 to 1. Both guys I'll look at for top 20, top 10 bets. Norlander could make the actual full card at 100 to 1 as well. Guys playing great. One and done's pretty easy this week. You have all kinds of options. You're only, what are we, week 4 now? Certainly alive in anything you're doing. Some of the ones out there have segments, some don't. I wouldn't get too far off that top of the board right there. If you're looking at DK pricing, anybody, mid 8,000s and up is viable. But when you got, and everybody says you do have a strategy of saving it for the for the majors, WGC, and all that kind of stuff. But you can't play them all. So you can't. There's only so many of those events, and we don't even have like a DJ here, stuff like that. So when you got a Shoffley, a Rahm, a JT, a Bubba, Rory, Webb, Matsu, even Berger, M. All of these guys are viable this week. I would just kind of sit down and strategize a little bit. I may hit on that a little bit during the prop spot as well. But even Brooks, 88. He's 8,800, but to me, because of the projected ownership in my head, he'll probably be low owned in a one and done. So maybe you can jump the field there if you want to take that risk. Harris English will probably be completely forgotten about this week. I didn't even mention him on the pod, but, I don't know how much I like him. And I've been a big fan of his anyways. I was a full fade of him last week, which would have been awesome if, any of my other guys would have done stuff. But, any of those kind of guys up there this week are viable. Don't get too cute. I don't think this is a week we go to like Sam Burns or, Corey Connors per se. You could. They're not out of it by any means. I like those guys, but, the odds probability of them winning versus the others, it's pretty simple math. You can go in there and look, but I'd probably stick up top 15, 20 betting odds on the board in that range for one and done this week. As we get into the one and done and we start having some strategic, we're not only are we less guys and we're getting more into the season and we haven't, especially the carbon contest where you got the other side action between the segments and eliminator and stuff like that. And I'm dead on segment 1, and I'm dead on the eliminator. So now I want to try for a skins play. Then, if you feel you're already there after 3 weeks, which I don't think anybody should be. You can hit 2 winners back to back and you're right there. It's still very early. Maybe you go a Redmond. Maybe you go whatever a speed. Some of those guys that good enough to win, but no one potentially will own them. So I don't think we're there yet, but as we will, I definitely will hit on that moving on. As always, Wednesday nights, we try to go for probably 5:30 Eastern. Kenny's going to try to join me every week he can. Was on last week. We had a great conversation on there. Hoping he joins this week. But if not, I'll still be on going live. Good job last week getting the questions in early. It really helped the chat flow. Helps me, make sure I kind of see where the chat's going ahead of time so I can be prepared on the angle. The weather was kind of a big talk last week. We will not have to worry about weather. We don't have to worry about course rotation. None of that. So we just focus on the golf at hand this week. So I'm looking forward to that. Today is February 2nd. So this is our 2-year anniversary of launching the premium site. From the entire Gups Corner team and myself, my wife, who's a huge support as well. Wouldn't happen without her. We thank you guys for us still being around. We're growing, tremendous growth in January, and we weren't even full go on golf yet. NASCAR's right around the corner. UFC, had a week off, but it's going to be going back up. NBA is going daily. NFL last week, this week, but, tons of stuff coming for the NFL product on the news side for 2021 season. We're looking forward to that. In general, what I expect over the next 6 months on this site is going to be amazing. All of it's coming together a lot quicker than I would have ever dreamed on getting the things rolled out. Tremendous team behind the scenes doing it for us. A lot of work going into it, but it's something I wanted to do. It's something that we needed to do to take a step forward and to be able to do some of the customization things that we want to do. As this, not only this industry continues to grow, but Gups Corner continues to grow. Biggest help to us is you guys and your word of mouth. I tell your friends, hey, come check us out now. It's as cheap as it's ever going to be. You can get 20% off. You smash 20. Their price is locked in for life. So if we raise prices or whatever, we add stuff. We added the green machine, and we've enhanced it almost weekly since then, especially this last 3 or 4 weeks, and it's going to get even better on the news side. The research centers for all sports, college football, NFL, and golf, for sure. Certainly down the road, we want to enhance our NBA and MLB products, but people that joined up from the start when it was pretty much just NFL and golf, they haven't been increased on all this stuff. When you sign up and we build this thing out, if we do have a price increase, we don't pass it on to our current subs. They're locked in as long as they stay locked in. They cancel, it's a different deal, but once they keep that membership active, they're good to go no matter what we add. And there's a lot of guys that have a great advantage of that. They're not paying very much a month right now, but the growth helps. So we depend on them, and you guys. A lot of you are listening. Paying $6 a month or whatever it was to start out. You guys spreading the word helps us a ton, and that's why we're still here after 2 years. So I'm excited for it. I think this week's gonna be another big week for us. Super Bowl, Waste Management always seems to go well for us. Looking forward to it. You guys have a blessed week and a blessed rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Thank you.